Since when did Newjeans become so hated? We're talking about a group that once felt like they could do no wrong. From the moment they debuted, Newjeans were basically the industry's favorite golden children. Everything they released turned to gold. Their aesthetic was trend-setting, their presence was fresh, and it was as if the entire K-pop industry just paused to watch them rise. You'd scroll and see endless edits of HYBE or Ditto. Their faces were splashed across magazine covers, and brands were literally lining up to secure a collab. They weren't just popular, they were defining what fourth-gen cool was. But now, public opinion has flipped so fast it's actually shocking. We're watching the same group who were once called icons of the next generation, now being questioned, criticized, and picked apart by fans and the public at large. And it's not even just occasional backlash, it's genuine frustration and disillusionment building around them. So what happened? How did one of the most celebrated groups in recent years end up in this much controversy and this much hate? Well, the shift didn't happen overnight, but one of the first moments that truly signaled things were changing was that live stream on September 11th, 2024. This was no ordinary update or casual interaction with fans. It happened on Newjeans' new YouTube channel, and it felt almost like a carefully timed emotional reveal, one that many fans believed was a turning point, and looking back, it definitely was. During this live stream, Hani opened up in a way she never had before. She got emotional while recalling a very specific moment. She said that once, while standing alone in a corridor, another idol group and their manager walked past her. At first, they greeted each other normally, but according to Hani, when that same group and their manager came back out, the manager looked directly at her and said to the idols, "Ignore her," right in front of her face. She said, "I can see and hear everything," but the manager said, "Ignore her." I still don't know why I had to go through that. It leaves me speechless. It was a shocking story to hear, especially from someone who's always been known for her calm demeanor and professionalism. And understandably, fans were upset. They rallied around her, expressing anger and sadness that she'd been treated this way by fellow industry members. And it didn't stop there. In that same live stream, Hani also expressed frustration with HYBE itself, the label overseeing Newjeans through their sub-label ADOR. She said that ever since MINJI, the woman behind Newjeans' concept and creative direction, was removed from her leadership role, everything had changed. According to Hani, it no longer felt like they had the same team or the same support system. She even directly questioned HYBE's intentions, implying that the company was neglecting them and didn't genuinely care about Newjeans anymore. At the time, the livestream was seen by many as brave, raw, and real. But now, with the benefit of hindsight and a whole lot of drama that followed, people are starting to look back and wonder, was it really just an emotional moment? Or was it a carefully planned PR move meant to turn public sentiment in their favor right before everything blew up? Because just a few months later, everything blew up. On November 28th, Newjeans suddenly held a press conference. And this wasn't just a casual statement, it was labeled an emergency. At this event, they made an announcement that shocked literally everyone. The group would be terminating their contracts with ADOR. It's hard to overstate how major that was. Terminating a contract in K-pop, especially when the group is in the middle of promotions and sitting at the top of their game, is rare, almost unheard of. But Newjeans didn't just say they were leaving, they came armed with statements. They accused ADOR of failing to protect them, and made it clear they were leaving not because they had done anything wrong, but because ADOR had. In their own words, they said, "The reason we are leaving ADOR is very simple. ADOR neither has the will nor the ability to protect Newjeans." It was a sharp, clear accusation, and it got even bolder when Heron added, "We've worked hard and done our best so far, so we believe there's no reason for us to pay any penalties." They were basically saying, we're not breaching anything. If anything, it's ADOR who failed us. But during this same press conference, a journalist asked the question a lot of people had already been thinking. Was this really just about the group not being protected? Or was it about wanting to reunite with MINJI? Were they asking for demands that ADOR simply couldn't meet? And if they were so confident about being wronged, why hadn't they filed a lawsuit yet? MINJI answered, saying it was HYBE that had broken the contract first, but she didn't give details. No proof. No clear explanation. It felt vague, and that vagueness started to make people skeptical. If you're accusing your company of such serious wrongdoing, wouldn't you come prepared with more than just words? Then came the lawsuits. ADOR responded by filing a lawsuit against Newjeans, asking the court to confirm that their exclusive contracts were still valid, and that's when things started getting very serious, very quickly. One of the most pivotal moments was when the very story Hani told in that livestream, the incident in the corridor, was brought up in court. ADOR presented CCTV footage of the exact moment. In the video, the group allegedly being accused of ignoring her was actually seen greeting Hani and Danielle with a polite 90-degree bow. The manager didn't appear to say anything offensive, and there was no visible conflict. The footage appeared to completely contradict what Hani had claimed. Now, some fans tried to argue that maybe the footage was from a different day, but in court, evidence like that can't just be thrown in casually. Hani's legal team didn't object to the footage being used, which means they either accepted it was the correct footage or didn't contest it at all, and that silence spoke volumes. Because if the story was false or exaggerated, it makes people question why it was told in such an emotional, public way, especially if the truth was more mundane than it originally seemed. But if Hani being exposed wasn't crazy enough, she had actually, before the footage's release, testified about this at the National Assembly in front of a bunch of politicians. this. That's not just another live stream. That's standing in front of lawmakers, crying, and delivering a statement to the entire country. And even though people wanted to believe her, the fact that her story contradicted court evidence began to seriously damage public trust. It also didn't help that a photo surfaced showing Hani meeting privately with MINJI Jin right before her testimony. People started asking, was this whole thing planned or even coached? It began to feel less like a group fighting for their rights and more like a staged PR campaign to gain public sympathy. But the controversies didn't stop there. In fact, they escalated into something much more serious. Soon after, allegations against MINJI Jin herself began to resurface. And this time, they weren't just about creative direction or company drama. They were about harassment, exploitation, and manipulation. A former ADOR employee came forward anonymously, accusing a high-ranking executive of harassing female staff and said that MINJI Jin was the one who pressured them into staying silent. The whistleblower said that MINJI Jin told them that if this got out, it would ruin everything. That's not a rumor. That's an official allegation, and it's serious. Other reports surfaced too. There were claims that MINJI Jin had made inappropriate comments about MINJI, allegedly saying she looked better when she was younger and had more potential when she was still growing. These kinds of comments have deeply concerning implications, especially when they come from someone responsible for overseeing young idols' images, appearances, and branding. And it only added fuel to the fire when people remembered the past controversies connected to MINJI Jin's creative direction. From Taemin's topless photo shoot when he was still a minor, to the suggestive water scene in NCT 127's Fire Truck MV involving a young girl, to NCT Dream's My First and Last video portraying a romance with a teacher, and even a Red Velvet video that used 9/11 imagery, there's a growing list of uncomfortable decisions that were all either directed or approved under her leadership. Despite all of this, Newjeans have continued to stand firmly by her side. Even now, the members refer to her as their CEO, even though she's officially been removed. That loyalty is raising serious questions. Some believe the girls have been manipulated. Others think they're choosing to support someone who empowered them, no matter the cost. Either way, it's led to a growing disconnect between them and the public. And now, the court has made a decision. ADOR has won the injunction. The judge ruled that Newjeans' exclusive contracts are still valid, and that they cannot just walk away from their label as easily as they claimed. Which means one thing: the court didn't accept their argument. And for many, that confirms their growing suspicions that a lot of this drama, from the emotional live stream to the press conference, may not have been as honest or straightforward as it first appeared. So here we are, a group that was once universally loved, now surrounded by controversy, allegations, contradictions, and mistrust. And the most heartbreaking part, no one seems to know whether they were victims caught in the crossfire or active participants in a very calculated power play. Should they be hated to this extent? Maybe not. But is the backlash completely baseless? Also no. Let me know your thoughts down below, because with this situation, it seems like every time we think it's over, something else comes out. And at this point, it feels like the full story is still only just unfolding. Make sure you subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss out on anything. With that said, thank you for watching till the end, and I'll see you in the next video.
You're like in the future.